Okay, so we have to talk about the rank 1 Aatrox player. His name is TOPKING and he is sporting an impressive 71% win rate on Aatrox, managing to 1v9 in Master even when his teammates are literally trolling. No, seriously, in the game we're about to analyze, TOPKING hard carries with Aatrox despite his bot lane looking like this. 18 deaths Teemo AD carry and 10 deaths Twitch support, and the only thing that's holding the team together is this fearless Aatrox master. Most top laners complain that they would have no impact being stranded on their top lane island, but in this video you will see what the rank 1 Aatrox player does to carry the entire map. But before we jump into the analysis, I will first give you the rank 1 player's exact rune and item setups as usual, so you can copy those right away. TOPKING's rune page is Conqueror, Triumph, Legend Alacrity and Last Stand with Bone Plating and Revitalized secondary. Conqueror is a no-brainer on Aatrox and the best keystone for the champion by far. The rune obviously won't do much while you go for shorter trades in lane with your Q, but during longer fights, the bonus damage in combination with the full 8% Omnivamp at max stacks just goes crazy. Lifesteal and drain tanking is a huge part of Aatrox's champion identity, and his ultimate rewarding long drawn-out fights further synergizes with this keystone. For similar reasons, Triumph is your optimal pick in the next row. The rune adds additional self-healing, allowing you to keep going and going in teamfights, as health is the most important resource you need to make use of your ult resets. Last Stand is always a strong rune on champions that rely on drain tanking, since that playstyle comes at the cost of giving the enemy plenty of opportunities to hit you back. But with Aatrox's huge AD ratios and base damage, this rune in combination with Conqueror's bonus AD racks up damage really quickly. Legend Alacrity is quite interesting though. Most Aatrox players opt for Legend Tenacity here instead, and for good reason. A champion that relies on drain tanking will always be very susceptible to enemy crowd control. Regular bruisers only miss out on some damage while being CC'd, but as a drain tank, not dealing damage also means that you will die very quickly, since you cannot regenerate unless you hit somebody. Therefore, tenacity is a really important stat to have, but TOPKING still prefers the bonus attack speed from Legend Alacrity, and here's why. The first reason is that Aatrox, being an AD caster, naturally gets a lot of value from attack speed, as it is still a multiplier to your DPS with all your AD items. But Aatrox further gets rewarded for weaving in auto attacks, since this way you can trigger his passive way more consistently, while also full stacking your Conqueror faster. However, the biggest reason why TOPKING prefers Alacrity is that this rune is a fast-stacking early-game rune, whereas Legend Tenacity is a slow-stacking late-game rune. Dominating your lane with early power is super important for top lane champions, since top lane is pretty much the 1v1 lane. Outperforming your lane opponent is crucial to being useful for your team later on, and falling short cannot be as easily compensated for as in other lanes. It is also why Aatrox players take Bone Plating secondary, as this rune further boosts your trading potential in the isolated top lane matchup. On the resolve path, Revitalize is another natural fit for Aatrox, boosting your important self-healing during all stages of the game. By the way, keep in mind that if you want to have educational league content like this in your personal feed, all you need to do is click the subscribe button. Now for the item build, Aatrox has two viable options. You can either go for the more defensive Jackshow build, or, and this is what TOPKING is doing, you can go for the more aggressive Eclipse build. Again, pressure in lane is key, and with the Serrated Duck power spike, which is enabled by Eclipse's build path, you gain yet another early game advantage over your lane opponent. But here is where it gets really important. Most Aatrox players autopilot and just buy the standard items that usually go with the Eclipse build. You know, Death Stance, Black Cleaver and the likes. And don't get me wrong, TOPKING buys many of these items in most of his Aatrox games as well. They are strong with Eclipse Aatrox and they are standard for a reason. But unlike most Aatrox players, TOPKING always keeps a close eye on the enemy team, dynamically adapting which second, third, fourth and fifth item he has to buy to carry the game. Sure, in most games this process still leads him to these standard items, since they are generally good in many situations. However, in the game we are about to analyze, where Aatrox had to carry the Inting Teemo ADC, TOPKING ended with a full build like this. More of Malmortia's second item with Force of Nature right after, and only for the very late game did he finally opt for the more common items of Cyrilda's Grudge and Death Stance. Had he blindly bought Death's Dance and Cleaver early like the standard build tells you, he would not have been able to do much this game. But let's finally jump into the actual analysis so you can see exactly why. The lane matchup is Aatrox versus Jax, which naturally favors Aatrox because Aatrox is an early game champion whereas Jax wants to scale. However, it is not a free lane by any means. TOPKING still needs to land his Q sweet spots for short, efficient trades while avoiding to play into Jax's lethal tempo. And while being the stronger early game champion looks nice on paper, it is still a hard balance to strike. On the one hand, you have to use your power to pressure the enemy top lane, or else they would outscale you, but on the other hand, you must never overcommit if there's a chance to get punished by the enemy jungler. But of course, the enemy jungler cannot just mindlessly camp you. While you are not able to beat them 1v2 at this point, you should pay close attention to the enemy's positioning. Because especially when there is a huge wave on the line, chances are your lane opponent retreats, giving you a very much winnable 1v1 all of a sudden. Note how TOPKING meticulously used his auto attacks between every single Q cast. However, kills like this one don't mean much in the grand scheme of things. If a good jungler wants to keep you small, they will find a way to do so. Aatrox has to be aggressive early or he'll simply get outscaled, but Maokai just keeps camping his lane, so what does TOPKING do? Well, it's straightforward. You push with priority, but before the enemy jungler can react again, you then use your priority to roam so you can try and snowball the rest of the map with your early power. In this case, the play allows Aatrox's own jungler to freely steal Maokai's farm. Of course, the enemy won't like that, but look what Aatrox does to them as soon as they try to challenge Hecarim. Fending off Jax here not only allowed Hecarim to trade 1-for-1, but Jax also lost all his health and his flash. Yes, he did get away with his life, and so did Kassadin, but remember, you don't have to actually kill your opponent to gain a huge lead. Just getting them off the map, forcing them to recall, is usually more than enough to deny them resources. And in this case right here, Aatrox can use the slow pushing wave to let Jax bleed. He misses out on roughly 300 gold and tons of experience, while Aatrox can farm for free. Meanwhile, in the bot lane though, teammates like this obviously put even more pressure on you to perform so you can hopefully compensate for them. But remember, TOPKING has this in mind and is specifically stacking magic resist this game to counter the fed mages, and what a difference it makes. Taliyah was not able to outdamage Aatrox's healing through his magic resist, crucially enabling this tower dive. And as always, the earlier the fight, the more its impact can snowball the rest of the game. Surviving and scoring those kills ultimately leads to Aatrox getting full first tower gold too, which he desperately needs. Stacking magic resist is TOPKING's only chance against a hyperfed Xerath, Taliyah and Kassadin going forward. Because now that lane phase is over, Aatrox will feel the full impact of the opposing bot and mid laners who got tons of free gold from Teemo and Twitch. However, due to his smart itemization, TOPKING can still challenge the enemy, and he has to before it's too late. Did you see how the enemy got baited by Morphomortia's passive? Yeah, with all the magic resist, every point of spell vamp and healing matters so much more. Now after claiming mid lane tower for that play, Aatrox can take off at least some of the opposing map pressure. So with that breath of fresh air, TOPKING's team tries to also fight over Herald, but the enemy is still too strong for them. All in all, the fight is okay, considering Yasuo gets some pressure back bot lane in the meantime, while none of blue team's key members fall. But ultimately, both teams have to retreat for now. However, after that fight, Aatrox crucially finished his third item, Force of Nature, which allows him to be a lot more aggressive. Note how TOPKING completely disregards his lane opponent with these choices. Against Jax, there would be far more efficient item options than stacking magic resist, of course. But Jax is not yet a real problem, whereas the other enemies very much are. And despite trying, Aatrox cannot stop them from taking key objectives like Baron Nashor. But while the enemy mages are a big problem, there is one saving grace. They can never kill Aatrox in a full teamfight with his MR items, which means Aatrox is also a problem. Aatrox's presence gave his team so much mileage in this fight, as he was able to absorb many opposing spells while dealing tons of damage in return. Sure, Kassadin getting a quadra kill is scary, but keep in mind that Aatrox already has the items he needs to counter all of Kassadin's burst. The enemy getting more AP items doesn't matter at this point, but Aatrox can still massively upgrade his own damage output. A fact that becomes self-evident in this next teamfight. At least Teemo seemed to have conditioned the enemy into thinking that he'd be a free kill no matter what. Winning a teamfight that late is actually really big, because now Aatrox's team can finally make some progress by taking Baron themselves. But almost more importantly, TOPKING finally got to the full build after this. And with his smart Aatrox itemization, he has not fallen off in the late game, but instead he unlocked God mode. Yeah, red team is falling apart in the end, and Aatrox can finish with Baron minions. In top lane, you sometimes have to pick a tank champion to fix your team composition, but if you still want to be able to get kills just like with Aatrox, I recommend you add K'Sante to your champion pool. To learn everything you need to know about the best K'Sante strategies, just click the link on your screen right there.